Hey, how's it going, you guys? Excuse the arm sling. I recently got shoulder surgery like a month ago, so I can't go fishing. I'm stuck at home. What else am I to do when I'm stuck at home except play with fishing lures, right? So that's what I'm doing today. I'm gonna talk to you guys about this lure. This is the Yamamoto Ika. I love this bait. I've been fishing it for about 10 years. I've caught a lot of fish on it, a lot of nice fish on it. There are some things I do to this bait to modify it, as well as some other lures I like to fish in similar scenarios to this one. So I'm just gonna talk about that today. Let's get right into it. The first thing I like to do when I'm fishing an Ika, when I'm rigging an Ika, is I take a sharp knife or a razor blade and I cut a slit into the body cavity of the bait. So about an inch long slit and about halfway into the lure, just like that. The reason I do that is when I go to rig this bait, which I'll show you right now. I'm just gonna rig one up. So traditionally when people fish tube style lures, they rig it with the line coming out of the nose here. But how I like to fish the Ika and how a lot of people fish the Ika in Southern California is rigged backwards. So I take my 5/0 extra wide gap Texas rig hook, I go through this skirt right here, pop it through. So we're just doing a regular Texas rig, and then I'm gonna come through that slit we made. So now I have the bait rigged backwards. It's weightless and weedless. The reason I put that little slit into the bait is because the bait itself is kind of bulky and it's kind of a lot of plastic to set the hook through. So I tend to miss some bites if I don't put that slit in. So that's why I do that. What's so great about this lure is it has a kind of a neutral fall, so a real slow descent like a Senko would, which allows it to be fished through structure extremely well, like heavy rock and stuff, especially when you're fishing uphill like I do a lot of because I fish from the bank. As I'm dragging this bait uphill, it's going to bump along and it's going to come over the top of rocks extremely well, as opposed to digging into the, like wedging into the cracks of the rocks like a weighted bait would. So that's why I like it. It allows me to fish the bait into places I wouldn't be able to fish other lures. Also, its castability is extremely well for a weightless bait. It shoots through the sky like a rocket when you're casting. Another reason I like it is your ability to make long casts. One thing I don't like about the Ika now is that over the years, a lot more people have caught on and a lot more people fish the Ika. So what I have done is I've kind of found other options to fish in similar scenarios when everyone's throwing the Ika and I want to set myself apart from the crowd. One of the baits I like to do that with is the Big Bite Baits Craw tube. I love this bait. It's kind of a similar profile to the Ika, except it has these claw appendages on it, which give it a real natural crawdad profile on the bottom. Also, what's different about this bait is it's hollow, like how the Yamamoto Ika is solid. This one is completely hollow, like a traditional tube style lure. So because it's hollow, it allows me to take a split shot or a couple split shots. You can vary the size of the split shot, and I can shove it into the body cavity here, and I just kind of use my fingers to kind of push it down all the way to the nose. So now I have a weight inside the body cavity, but because it's hollow, you're not able to rig it. So what I do is I take an inch-long piece of Senko, just like that, take like a little inch-long piece. Don't use the Yamamoto Senkos because they're salt impregnated and you'll tear the bait a lot easier. So just the generic Senkos, they're cheaper and they just work better. So I go ahead and I take that inch-long piece and I shove it into the body cavity here, just like that. So if you can see it, just like that. And then I'll take a couple drops of super glue and drop it in there to kind of secure it in place. So you want to be careful when you're putting the super glue not to glue your skirt strands together. So I rig that just like how I would the Ika, rigged backwards. But what's different about this one is it's that different profile, like I mentioned, but also you're able to fish this in a lot deeper water, and you're also able to fish this in wind, something you're not able to do effectively with the Ika because of how slow it sinks. So excellent option when you're fishing deeper water or in wind and you want to look a little bit different. Big Bite Baits Craw tube, great choice. So another lure that I like to fish in these scenarios is a Power Pro Team Lures Texas Rig Jig. So as you can see, it has that nice crawdad profile with the skirt. A little bit different than how I fish the Ika and the Craw tube. I actually rigged this up with a screw lock weighted worm hook. What's so great about this is with the Ika and the Craw tube, both of these baits have a vertical descent to them, but the Power Pro Team Lures Texas rig jig with the weighted worm hook, since the weight is kind of distributed here in the center of the bait, it'll have a very nice natural horizontal fall, real slow fall when you're fishing on the bottom. So once this bait actually hits the bottom and I'm dragging it, it has a real natural kind of subtle profile as you're dragging along. Also, when you go to pop the bait, it doesn't just shoot up and shoot back down, it'll glide like how an actual crawdad would. If you ever seen crawdads in the water, when they kick up, they don't just shoot back down to the bottom, they have like a glide to them as they're gliding backwards. Excellent option. Also comes through rock extremely well, so when you want to set yourself apart from the crowd, these 3 baits will do it. Or these 2 baits, these 2 options other than the Ika will absolutely do it. I fish both of these kind of back and forth depending on the scenario. If I'm fishing that deeper water or in wind, I go with the Craw tube. If there's no wind and I'm fishing a little bit shallower area, I don't need to make a super long cast, because this bait is a little bit harder to cast than the other 2. But this bait also great option. So thanks for watching, you guys. Let's go see if we can get some on the water footage. All right, guys, another thing I wanted to show you is when you get the Ika straight out of the pack, a lot of times the skirt strands will be kinked up and bent just from being in the pack for a long time. So what you can do is get some water boiling, take some tongs so you don't burn your hands, dip the skirt strands into the boiling water for about 10 seconds. Okay, just like that. And you hold the Ika up just like that, let it dry, and now the skirt strands are perfectly straight. Hey, how's it going, everyone? So we made it out to Pyramid Lake. I'm out here with my girlfriend. I'm still in an arm sling, so I'm gonna be fishing vicariously through her. I'm gonna explain how I like to fish the Ika, and she's gonna demonstrate. So let's get to it. So just to give you guys an idea of what we're fishing here, we have this rocky point that sticks out, and it's a prime spot because, as you can see, it transitions from like shale rock all the way to these bigger rocks right here onto the point. So good wintertime spot, pre-spawn fish. Pre-spawn fish love the Ika. So right now we're casting parallel to the bank with the Big Bite Baits Craw tube. The reason we went with the Craw tube is because we're fishing pretty deep water. This bank is pretty steep, so even just like 20 to 30 feet out is over 30 feet deep right now. So how I like to fish the Ika is I usually cast it out, let it hit bottom, and I like to hold my rod kind of at an angle, kind of point it towards the water just like that. That gives me a good idea of how fast I'm fishing the lure, because I can watch my rod tip and I can see how much it's moving, just like that. So basically I just like to do slow drags, just kind of bumping along the bottom. Every now and then I'll give it a little pop just to kind of let the bait pop up off the ground, get the tentacles to flare up, and a lot of times that'll trigger a bite. But yeah, super slow, just slow drags like how you'd fish, you know, like a jig or a Texas rig. So hopefully we get a fish catch on video for you guys on the bait. I just caught one on a Ned rig. I threw the Ned rig out there, and just to kind of verify that there's fish on this point, I caught one pretty quick. And Lois just lost one too. Felt like a good one, huh? Your rod was bent up pretty good. Yeah, sad day. But yeah, usually that Craw tube or the Ika, it'll get bigger bites than let's say a small worm or a Ned rig. So, got a rock bass? Yeah, that happens too. That's how you know you're fishing in the right spot though. There you go. All right, well, we'll get back to you guys when we catch one. Oh, nice one. Woohoo! Oh my God. Careful, careful. Here, I'll grab him. Don't break the rod.
Oh, I don't know how to not break it. Is that a small?
Yep.
Oh,
He's
gonna break his lip.
Let me see.
Can I hold him a different way?
Hey, there we go on the Ika. Good job. Yeah, buddy. Here, hold him. Hold that fish up. Hey, you got the bass colored nails too. Look at that. No wonder you catching them. There you go. Get in there. Grab that fish. Pinch him. Well done. Good job. That's a nice smallie.
He is, right?
Yeah, good one. Pretty fish, huh? Give him a little. There you go.
Right. Go there, go there.
Give it up with the bass hand. Boom. All right, you guys. Well, that concludes the video. Thanks for watching. In the comments below, let me know what kind of videos you guys would like to see in the future. I want to start putting content out more consistently, so feedback would be appreciated. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks.